All my relations ain't dead and gone now. My salvation lies right here in this song. The record player spins, but the needle's at the end. And ain't no one around to turn it over on its side. Oh, this land is where I live. Oh, my home is what it is. And I could get angry, and I could get upset. The song still sounds the same the more we listen to it. In every single city, there ain't no difference. Across the open prairies, a farmer shoots an Indian, and they pass that ignorance on down to their kids, like old dusty photographs all shot through the same lens. Oh, this land is where I live. Oh, my home is what it is. And I could get angry, and I could get upset. The song still sounds the same the more we listen to it. And all my mistakes gonna pile up and kill me. And all your blind hate's gonna pile up and kill me. The moon still come to rise, the river still flows, the sun's still up there shining, and the grass still grows. Oh, this land is where I live. Oh, my home is what it is. I could get angry, and I could get upset. The song still sounds the same. The song still sounds the same. But the song still sounds the same. And the song still sounds the same the more we listen to it.
Well, my name's Forrest Eaglespeaker, and I'm a singer-songwriter, originally from Calgary. I live in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan now with my family. The North Sound is comprised of me and my partner, Nevada. We have 2 daughters, and so we get the privilege of being able to parent our children while we play music.
Hit the ground running, I've been to hell and back. I've had my loved ones taken, and I felt my spirit back.
I started the North Sound in 2014, and it's gone through multiple changes throughout the years, and we're in a really good place with it right now, and having a lot of fun playing music.
My sorrows down with booze, and I don't know what happened, still not sure what changed.
The funny thing about it is that this is a project that was born out of spite. It was basically a way for me to, I guess at the time, prove something. You know, I started this project as a way to prove something. I don't really know what I was trying to prove or who I was trying to prove it to, but I just remember I was a really angry young man when I started, and it's changed and it's grown with me. Part of my story is that I struggled with alcoholism for 13 years. This project has been there with me through the whole thing, and it's gone through the changes with me. So it is in a much healthier place now, such as myself. And the whole purpose behind it today is very different from how it started. The purpose today is to connect with people, and it's to share stories of my experience and a shared experience of others that I've been able to relate to, and be able to share it with other people, and to hopefully find some common ground between people who may not necessarily think we have much in common. Yeah, nature was, at a very early age, I had an understanding that I was Indigenous. My parents and my grandparents taught me that when I was growing up, to not really ever be ashamed of that, which wasn't always easy, you know, especially with my grandmother being a residential school survivor and a 60s scooper, and my mother never really growing up in her culture, and I didn't grow up with my birth father around, and so we sort of just made it up, you know. We just figured out how to be Indigenous, but the one thing was that nature is what connected us.
You better close your eyes when the steam starts to rise. I burn with desire. We can never let it go. As the stars explode, the stars explode.
Asaimina epetakutit newa kumagan ota oma ketaskino miwasen asaimina. There was a man who was lost and wandering, and what they say was he wandered and wandered until he fell asleep. And then he had a dream about this sweetgrass. He was told within that dream that whenever he was confused or lost, and to take this sweetgrass and dry it and burn it, and then smudge himself, bring it towards his body and his mind and his spirit, and ask for what he wants, or either ask for clarity. And when they say when he woke up, he had basically been sleeping right on top of the medicine. He was given that teaching from Spirit. So that's the basic understanding of sweetgrass. It's a protector. It's a medicine for tea. It's a medicine for clearing a space here before you start a gathering. You always use sweetgrass. We are all one nation under one great sky, you and I. We are all. The place I grew up had a beautiful lake, and there was plenty of fish, and there was plenty of wildlife all around there because we were still living off the land. We'd still actually go out to the land, and hunt and prepare meat for the winter, gather medicine and gather berries. We were still doing that when I came into this world. And the Background is like Wawaski Sioux in our backyard. That was used to be our gathering territory. Ness Creek area, like Big River, First Nation area. That's where my grandmother was from. And she was the like the herbalist of our family. So, and then my father's side was also came from a long line of medicine people, like sun dancing, sweat lodge ceremonies that paid homage to the land. But just living on the land, you know, living off nature and being with nature, it does something to the mind. Being at the residential school, all of that suddenly just stopped. There was no more teachings about medicine, about sweetgrass, about ceremony, about land. It was not till I was 1920, I started to wake up and go back.
I don't know why I give more love to strangers.
I grew up in northwestern Saskatchewan, in the Parkland. Our people were Rhode Lowndes people, meaning that we were squatters on Crown land. Or at least that's what they called us, but it was traditional territory for our people. And so I grew up on the land. And when I left home, and I traveled around, and then I eventually settled in Batoche along the South Saskatchewan River at Gabriel's Crossing. And so I'm very familiar with the land and the area I come from, and along the South Saskatchewan River. The environment is something that I've always been really concerned about, and that's where a lot of my activism has been. 60 years ago, our elders were talking about it and were really concerned about it, and in their youth, their own elders were concerned about the same thing. So I grew up with a lot of being surrounded by old people who mentored me, and also old people from my family who were always concerned about what was going to happen, and especially with water. And because I've spent the last 50 years along the South Saskatchewan River, I live on the banks of it, I've seen all of the changes and remember what that river was like as a child.
And I can't remember which bar I just left.
I find it quite frightening when I see the changes, that I've seen since I was a child on it, and especially in the last probably 25 years, I've seen lots of changes that we don't really notice in the city because the water looks deep here and everything looks wonderful. But when you live out in the country and beside the river, it's really not like that. It's really quite sad and scary.
One of the things that's become a yearly thing for us as a family, we were taught how to pick medicines and the proper protocols to do it. And so that's something that we do every year now, and we have sort of become, for a lot of our close friends and a lot of our close family, we've become the family that others rely on to get those medicines when they need them. And it's us being out on the land and connecting with the land and saying thank you to these plants for giving their lives to us, and thanking the Creator for putting them there for us. And it's just a connection, and it brings us back it connects us back to our ancestors, because that was just their way of life. For us, it may be just a yearly thing that we get to go out and do, but for them, it was a way of life, And so it kind of brings us back to there. When we go picking, it really depends on the plant and where it is within its life cycle, because we don't want to pick them too late, but we can't pick them too early either. We don't pick babies, and we can't pick ones that are full of seeds. So it really depends on that. And what we noticed this year compared to other years was that our picking season was way later in the year, and that had to do with it being such a hot summer here in Saskatchewan. There wasn't as much moisture, and it took the plants longer to grow.
biggest change that I've seen is the water levels have, there's times when you can walk across the river and just seeing, the pollution, the water is dirty. We don't think of it as being dirty. It's moving all the time, but it's dirty. And I've experienced watching trucks come there and clean their Roundup or whatever out of their tanks, and all of that's going into the river. When I was a child, there were huge sturgeon in that river, and in my dad's youth, there were, one sturgeon could feed a whole camp of people, and now you're lucky if you ever see one, and if you do, it's so tiny that you couldn't make a meal out of it. Well, you couldn't eat it anyway. And most of it has worms, in it, and people don't realize that because you can't see them unless you're looking for them.
Moisture, the moisture, the snow, the rain, that has lessened over the time that I've been around. There's been less and less over time, gradually. There used to be snowbanks up to 12 feet, and then there used to be clean water. You didn't have to go far to get clean water for drinking. Today in my community, I could go drink my water, and our community was just fresh when I was around. And I would drink it today, and I would get a stomachache.
I got no plans on leaving, no plans on heading across that line.
And we're the last watershed in North America. When you think about that, that's pretty incredible. Anything happens to our watershed, then that affects everything. It affects all of the Americas. Because usually if you talk about, the clear cutting is affecting, what's happening to the river, all of those things. Well, people think that's such a huge thing, and government will take care of it, or somebody will take care of it. But when you think about all of those little things and realize that if we're going to make change, we have to be able to talk to children. We have to be able to discuss as a family, what can we do to make sure that, that we're doing something to support that river and trying to save it, not waiting for somebody else to do it.
I think we really have to look at how we use energy. Because energy comes in the form of oil, gas, uranium. That has to be really looked at so that we don't continue to pollute the world, and also pollute the water and pollute the land. So there's a lot that I see that could be changed or altered in some way.
Well, I want my children to understand the role of the land and of nature within our lives. I want my children to have a connection to a tree. I want them to have a connection to the grass. I want them to feel like there is so much more that exists that is bigger and more important than myself. That my girls understand their value as people. I also want them to understand that we're not the center of the universe. And if we don't take care of the land, and if we don't take care of our planet, then we don't exist. The planet doesn't exist because of us. We exist because of the planet.